Hand them over to Alpha. Have him proclaim our kingdom's core principles before the entire world. Jiang Yi returned the national laws to Charles. Upon receiving the governance code, Alpha immediately began proclaiming it to the entire world. As the host, returned to the main seat below the stage to observe the founding ceremony. The proceedings unfolded smoothly thereafter. However, when Alpha declared the kingdom of Yamen a monarchy, it drew considerable skepticism and debate. After all, with the advancement of civilization, the monarchy faced considerable skepticism and controversy in the eyes of many. But Jiang Yi paid it no mind. This nation was built entirely by his own hands. Naturally, it would revolve around him. Look at what this country was like before I arrived. And what is it now? It could be said that Yemen's current prosperity and global recognition were all brought about by Jiang Yi. A nation requires only one center of power. Otherwise, it easily leads to disunity. A situation of internal division. Even a powerful nation like the United States frequently sees conflicts erupt between its states. Therefore, this course of action is for Jiang Yi's own good. It's also for the sake of Yemen's future prospects. Even if we take a step back, who internally could even hold their own against Jiang Yi? Alpha? A Bujul? Even if Jiang Yi granted them the privilege of standing on equal footing with him, they wouldn't dare accept it. That's all. Alpha's gaze swept toward Jiang Yi below the stage. Their eyes met briefly. Jiang Yi silently acknowledged his efforts with a knowing glance. Alpha smiled and addressed the live stream camera. Next, we will proceed with the coronation ceremony. Please stay tuned. The coronation ceremony. This was arguably the most solemn event in the nation-building project. It held immense political and symbolic significance. It also signified the true birth of the Yamen kingdom, as Jiang Yi would now ascend to the throne. At this moment, billions watching on screens felt their spirits soar, for they knew they were about to witness a historic moment. Chapter 75, The Founding Military Parade Shocks the World. Blessed to witness history once more, the world order shifts forever. This moment shall be remembered. We become historical figures, folks. Looks like today is destined to go down in history. Future elementary school textbooks will surely record the birth of the Kingdom of Yemen today, right? Damn, I wonder which pope will crown the Yemen king? Crowned as king? Holy crap, this is thrilling. Hey, did you notice the Yemen king looks a lot like us Koreans? Could it be? Here we go again with the everything originates from Korea theory. Oh God, may Yemen find peace under his leadership. May the world be spared from war and suffering. The stage is meticulously prepared. The coronation ceremony begins. Jiang Yi ultimately activated the descent function. After all, it was the moment of his coronation. He had to experience it, after all. After the avatar took his place, Jiang Yi emerged from backstage and made his way to the center of the stage. High-ranking officials from various nations below applauded and offered congratulations. Such is the perk of power. Even these world-class leaders had to cheer and celebrate for you. A hostess in elegant attire carried a crown draped in red cloth onto the stage. Jiang Yi personally lifted the red cloth. This crown was exchanged from the system for over 100 million credits. Crafted from precious gems and pearls. The gems shimmered with deep, mysterious hues, while the pearls gleamed like precious moons under the spotlight, emitting a brilliant and sacred radiance. However, its design deviated from the common Western style. Instead, it resembled the style worn by ancient emperors of the Dragon Kingdom. Therefore, it is more accurately described as a crown with pendants. The meaning is much the same. But this is the only one in the entire world. Wait, is he planning to crown himself? Yeah, why hasn't the Pope shown up even though the coronation ceremony has already begun? How arrogant. Wang Difu? This is beyond my expectations. What kind of coronation is this? Oh my God, this is utter nonsense. Utterly disrespectful. Even if people accept you without the Pope's coronation, it holds no meaning. Crowning himself? Damn it, this guy's got no limits. I thought the Vatican had its own religious beliefs. Why is this happening? Amen, forgive this reckless youth. Interesting. This new king seems rather unique. I like it. What's this about a pope? Isn't it rumored that this new king is from the Dragon Kingdom? We Dragon Kingdom people don't believe in religion. You lot upstairs, get lost. The coronation ceremony. Once again, chaos erupted. For to everyone's astonishment, Jiang Yi actually intended to crown himself. Consider this. In many faith-based, religious nations, when their rulers ascend to kingship and undergo coronation ceremonies, a figure akin to a pope would be present. Whether it's a pope or not isn't the point. What matters is that during the coronation, represents the deity they revere. Or the faith itself performs the coronation. It signifies divine approval. The power is handed over to the crowned one, along with divine blessings. To some, what Jiang Yi did was nothing short of blasphemy. Unforgivable. Especially since Dongzhou was a region teeming with diverse religions. The gazes of the high-ranking officials from various nations below the dais shifted noticeably. But they dared not speak. Outwardly, they maintained smiles and offered polite admonitions. Yet in their minds, the image of an emperor who had once done the same thing surfaced. Napoleon. Jiang Yi placed the crown upon his head with natural ease. Faith? Supernatural beings? Jiang Yi didn't believe in such nonsense. Besides, if this Jiang Yi were to ask the deities and God, he'd want to know, how many divisions do you have, God? The coronation was complete. Jiang Yi exhaled deeply, feeling a wave of ease wash over him as tension melted away. The Kingdom of Yamen was hereby established. The most crucial task was now accomplished. After exchanging a few polite remarks, step down. Prepare for the next project, one that would flex our muscles to the entire world. Military parade. Zhang Yi had already assigned this task to Max and Henry to prepare. After all this time, preparations over there should be nearly complete. Live broadcast feed. Switch to exterior view. Everyone, would you like to join me outside for a look? Zhang Yi steps down from the stage, inviting the international dignitaries. Interested? Of course we're interested. We're super interested. The coronation and founding ceremonies aren't the main draw for them, it's the participation that matters. But attending the military parade? That's where they'll get a real deal glimpse of Yumen's military might. What piqued their curiosity most was precisely how many cutting-edge weapons Zhang Yi had at his disposal. The group followed Zhang Yi out of the hall. Outside, journalists swarmed the area. But the security team dispersed them. The reason was simple. No interviews would be granted at this time. The military parade had already commenced. Hundreds of millions of viewers watching the live broadcast held their breath, staring intently, afraid to miss a thing. The first figure to appear on screen was Soldier Fongzhen. Nothing to see here. But the firearms carried by the soldiers caught everyone's attention. How come I've never seen these weapons before? We'd heard that the Hushi forces had long established their own production lines and used only domestically developed weapons. Holy crap, is this actually true? Next, a row of soldiers clad in exoskeleton armor made their entrance. Their appearance instantly drew countless stares. Holy crap? A sci-fi unit? This is getting a bit unrealistic, isn't it? Damn, they look awesome. These so-called exoskeleton suits. The childhood dream of so many men? This is the first time they've seen a nation officially unveil such equipment. The Yislite leadership watched the livestream. Fell into collective silence, their faces darkening to a terrifying degree. Because this was the very same mecha. The very type of mecha that had inflicted countless nightmares upon them during Gash's assault. Their experts were still secretly studying it to this day. Jiang Ye's actions was essentially a signature move. He was telling Yisili that behind Gases stood the support of the Hushi armed forces. Yet Yisili had absolutely no way to counter this. Next came the VZ-58 armed tank, the PL-01 stealth tank, and the Y-58 amphibious tank. Worth mentioning is that, since his last surge in prestige points, Zhang Yi had already spent a significant portion of his prestige. He had purchased another batch of the 3 concept tanks. The tank fleet scale has reached over 300 units. While this may seem substantial, but for a nation, 300 tanks isn't a large number, it's actually quite small. Oh, and regarding fighter jets, Zhang Yi has also expanded his fleet. The fleet now exceeds 80 aircraft. After all, they are the main force on the battlefield. In modern warfare, air superiority holds immense strategic value. Controlling the skies means holding the key to victory in this war. Otherwise, why would so many nations have dedicated themselves to developing new fighter jets for so many years? Why does the unveiling of each new generation send nations into a frenzy and astonish the world? Chapter 76, Flaunting Military Might. This military parade. The fighter jet's appearance was the true highlight. Countless people craned their necks, straining to see as if they could lift their heads to the heavens. Citizens from all nations, whether ordinary onlookers or high-ranking officials, all felt an extraordinary mix of tension and excitement. Even the think tanks behind the nations were glued to their screens, scrutinizing every detail, afraid to miss anything. They sought to discern the details of the Hushi armed fighter jets from this parade, to further analyze the military strength of the Kingdom of Yamen. Lighthouse Nation. Department of Technology. Hundreds of professionals in white lab coats stood guard before the screens throughout the entire department. Paper and pens in hand, ready to record data. Beside them sat numerous test instruments with flashing lights. No one could have imagined. To seize the Kingdom of Yamen, the Lighthouse Nation would mobilize such a massive operation. A senior lighthouse official entered the data room. How about it? Everything is ready. The engineer replied. Excellent. The senior official said solemnly, once you obtain the test data, immediately compare it with our fighter jets. Report any anomalies to us immediately, understand? Understood. However, data analyzed solely from live footage of the parade may not be entirely accurate. But at least it will give the Lighthouse Nation a reference point. What the outside world doesn't know is this. The Lighthouse Nation had indeed approved the establishment of the Yamen Kingdom. Yet afterward, they harbored some regrets. Their greatest concern lies in the military strength of the Yamen Kingdom. They feared that allowing its creation would be like unleashing a beast threatening the entire world. If something truly went wrong, no one could bear that responsibility. Of course, threatening the world had little to do with the Lighthouse Nation. Their greatest fear was that the establishment of the Yamen Kingdom would threaten their interests. Whether the world remains peaceful or not is none of their concern. Have they not instigated enough wars? But they will never tolerate anything that harms their interests. It must be said that the so-called benevolence, peace, and freedom is pure bull. Pure bull. This time, the fighter jet's deployment method, orchestrated by Maxon and his crew. 10 aircraft took to the skies. The inaugural formation featured 5 aircraft taking off in a parade-style formation. As for the content, it was undoubtedly the usual repertoire. Demonstrating high aerial maneuverability, performing advanced flight maneuvers challenging for fighter jets. Surely they wouldn't Test fire a few rounds into the crowd, right? Soon, under the gaze of the entire crowd, the first wave of fighters roared overhead, their engines bellowing like the cry of a dragon, creating an overwhelming sense of pressure. It was truly awe-inspiring. To let everyone see clearly, Jiang Yi had ordered low-altitude flight. The speed was also deliberately reduced. Wow! Are these the fighter jets of the Yamen Kingdom? Why do they look straight out of a sci-fi movie? Unbelievable. Damn it, compared to these, our Mountain Eagle Kingdom's fighters are utterly weak. This is what a real fighter jet should be, exactly like the ones we've always imagined. So awe-inspiring that roar could make any man's blood boil. Thank goodness we're not the enemy. If we faced such monsters on the battlefield, I don't know how we'd handle it. But still, compared to our Triangle Nation's fighters, they're a bit weaker, right? Has India been drinking too much river water again? This fighter's design must have had our Korean designers involved. Netizens from all countries. Performing as expected. At that moment, the fighter executed a high-difficulty vertical takeoff mid-air. Buzz. The roar of engines once again sent a rush of adrenaline through countless men, instantly stirring their emotions. Immediately after one fighter concluded its display, another took to the skies to continue the performance. 5 fighter jets. Like a circus act, they drew continuous screams from the spectators below. This left online viewers watching the live stream green with envy. Such a scene they all wished they could witness it in person. Live stream viewers. Online viewers surged rapidly, rising by hundreds of millions more. This shattered all previous records for concurrent viewers in the live streaming industry. Hundreds of millions watching a single parade simultaneously. A scale unimaginable for ordinary nations. Yisili watched the fighter jets flaunt their might before the entire world. He nearly choked on his own blood. Look at the mess you've created. Luan glared with hatred at a high-ranking official from the Lighthouse Nation. You let them establish their country, it's like unleashing a beast upon East Continent. I'll be watching to see how you clean up this mess later. This military parade caused a huge sensation. After witnessing such formidable military might, which nation in East Continent would still take those Yisili seriously? The other party fell silent for a moment before replying, very well. We'll take responsibility for our actions. Didn't we supply you with a batch of the latest fighter jets last time? Why not deploy them to crush their arrogance? Lu Wen gritted his teeth. Fine. The Kingdom of Yamen was riding high on its momentum. Now was the moment to deploy the cutting-edge fighters recently supplied by the Lighthouse Nation. Entering Yemen's airspace in full view of the world to flaunt their might. Imagine the spectacle. Yemen would be utterly humiliated before the eyes of the entire world. When questioned afterward, simply state it was an accident, a pilot error. Looking at international relations worldwide, when faced with such incidents, nations can only swallow their anger and endure, because once hostilities begin, it amounts to a direct declaration of war. No nation dares to take such a step. Otherwise, they would face severe public pressure while other nations would seize the opportunity to launch wars under the pretext of this incident. The costs would outweigh the benefits. Therefore, nations have long reached an unspoken understanding. When confronted with provocative yet non-severe actions, they would only issue verbal condemnations. Then they swallow their pride and keep it to themselves. As for the outside world, they won't think twice, they'll only see Yemen being invaded by Israel. Yemen, utterly powerless, has lost all dignity. Especially at such a crucial moment in the nation's founding. They aim to humiliate Yemen before the entire world. This move was virtually unstoppable. They simply couldn't believe Jiang Yi would dare confront them directly then. He wouldn't dare. With this plan in place, Yisili swiftly moved to act. The military parade wouldn't last long. Several fighter jets patrolling the border received the order and immediately changed course, heading straight for Yemen. Strictly speaking, the two nations were neighbors not too far apart. Before long, the pilots reached the Yemen border and, under orders from high-ranking officials like Luan, entered Yemen's airspace. Their mission was to flex their military might. Several Yisili pilots wore defiant expressions, already envisioning the scene when Yemen detected them, shocked yet powerless. Beep. Here, Jiang Yi received the news immediately. At this critical juncture, Jiang Yi knew exactly what Yisili was up to. Very well. Jiang Yi had a fiery temper too. If they came, he'd make sure they never returned. Chapter 77, Take him down. I knew you lot weren't staying put. So quick to show your faces. Jiang Yi let out a cold laugh. Precisely because he knew this, Jiang Yi had ordered strict border defenses before the founding ceremony. But I never imagined they'd actually have the guts to show up. Everyone, excuse me for a moment. Jiang Yi left with a smile, his words trailing behind him as he turned and slipped away from the crowd, returning to his office. Max, intruders detected. Deploy fighters and shoot them down immediately. Regarding the fighter jets, Max now essentially manages operations. Shoot them down immediately? Max thought he'd misheard. Leader, shouldn't we issue a warning first? No need. They're deliberately provoking us, thinking we won't fight back. Well, I'll show them we will. Zhang Yeyun remained calm and composed. With only a few fighters arriving, they couldn't possibly be initiating hostilities. This is clearly a provocation. They want to circle in front of the whole world, then fly off nonchalantly. To humiliate the Yamen. Jiang Yi won't indulge them. Yes. Max arrived at the airbase and casually selected several elite pilots. The leader's orders were simple, shoot them down immediately, leave no survivors. Got it? Understood. Max nodded, watching as the pilots roared into the sky aboard their Caliban fighters. This time, Yisili had dispatched the most advanced F-35 fighters from the Lighthouse Nation. But Max knew, against the Caliban fighters, which surpassed current human technology, the F-35 stood no chance. It all came down to how they fought, making it more spectacular and decisive. After finalizing all arrangements, Jiang Yi returned to the parade grounds. As soon as he reappeared, all eyes turned back to him. Ladies and gentlemen, prepare to witness a spectacular show. Jiang Yi flashed a mysterious smile. A show? What kind of show? Could it be that the main event of this parade is yet to come? Excitement began to build among the crowd. Viewers watching the live broadcast were also left hanging, speculating wildly. What was Jiang Yi referring to as the big show? As if on cue, shortly after he spoke, the distant sky echoed with the roar of fighter jets. Fighters too? Everyone instinctively assumed this was part of the parade ceremony. But suddenly, they realized something was amiss. On the other side of the sky, the 3 Caliban fighters that had already made an appearance reappeared in everyone's field of vision. Just as everyone was wondering what was happening. Whoosh! The Caliban fighters launched a direct attack on several F-35s. The scene left everyone present utterly stunned. What's going on? The spectators watching the screen thought they must have accidentally switched channels. Live-streamed dogfights? The next second, under the stunned, incredulous gazes of countless onlookers, an F-35 was struck head-on, exploding mid-air with a thunderous boom. It shattered into countless fragments, raining down. At the same time, the other F-35 pilots, drawn by the deafening commotion, watched in horror as their expressions twisted into agony. Their radars hadn't detected any enemy aircraft along their entire route? When had it appeared? What they didn't know was their crappy radar. If it could detect Caliban fighters, that would be a miracle. Jiang Yi wore a look of satisfaction. Well done. Thanks. Consider it adding some excitement to our founding ceremony. Though bringing a few F-35s might be a bit extravagant. Jiang Yi flashed a smile at the camera. Yes. Knowing that Yisili was definitely watching the live broadcast, Jiang Yi's words were meant for Yisili's top brass. On the other side of the screen, Lu Wen, the Iceliate executives, and the high-ranking official from the Lighthouse Nation who had sent Lu Wen to provoke them earlier. Their expressions were stunned, their mouths agape. Their mood was a mix of bewilderment and complex emotions. Wang Difu? Jiang Yi actually dared to shoot them down? Not only did he shoot it down, but he did it in front of the entire world. What happened to flexing their muscles? Make Yaman swallow their humiliation. But instead, not only did they fail to make the other side swallow their pride, but they ended up with their own faces swollen from being slapped. No! Quickly withdraw the remaining forces. Hurry! The F-35 was shot down before detecting the enemy. They knew this battle was hopeless, they stood no chance. How could the enemy possess such advanced stealth capabilities? The high-ranking officials of the Lighthouse Nation turned green with shock. Their F-35s were equipped with the world's most advanced radar. But it was already too late. Lu Wen was about to give the order. When the live feed suddenly zoomed in on the remaining 3 F-35s, Caliban fighters even circled around the F-35s, openly showing off their skills. Only then did they unleash their firepower. With several deafening explosions, the remaining F-35s plummeted without a doubt into the flames. Lu Wen stumbled backward, plopping down onto his chair. He was stunned. At the parade site, live streams watched by hundreds of millions. Dead silence fell. Yes. Watching several F-35s get shot down one after another, everyone was stunned. Only now did they belatedly realize so this was the main event Jiang Yi had mentioned? They'd seen arrogance before. But never this outrageous. Seeing fighter jets shot down, most people wouldn't witness that in a lifetime. Live stream chat. Viewers from around the world erupted in excitement, with comments flooding in like a tidal wave. Fortunately, Jiang Yi had preemptively prepared ample servers to ensure stability. Otherwise, the stream would have crashed for sure. Holy crap, this is insane. Though we still don't know which country's fighter it was, just shooting it down like that? That's ruthless. The Eastern continent's tough guys truly live up to their reputation. Never seen such decisive and ruthless action. Damn, they really earned their reputation. Looks like an F-35 to me? Are we heading toward war with the Lighthouse Nation? It can't be the Lighthouse Nation. It wouldn't take that long to get from the Lighthouse Nation to East Continent. It must be Yisili. Those two countries are in cahoots. Why would an ISIL fighter jet be here? Probably trying to show off and apply pressure, but backfired? Ha! But the real shocker is that it was an F-35, the world's most advanced 5th-generation fighter, and it got taken down in seconds? This scene. It quickly went viral worldwide, shared and reported by major media outlets across all platforms. Across all platforms. It dominated the charts with overwhelming popularity. That was the F-35, the world's most advanced fighter jet, yet it suffered dimensional suppression against Caliban. Rumors swirled that Jiang Yi possessed alien technology, dismissed by many as mere jokes. But now, it can't be real, right? The effect was achieved. Jiang Yi paid no further attention to the matter as the parade proceeded. Ladies and gentlemen, what just occurred was merely a minor incident. Please remain composed. I now announce the resumption of the parade. Next, there's a hidden surprise. Henry personally escorted Jiang Yi's national treasure, the nuclear warhead, and its accompanying launchers as they approached from one side. Chapter 78, The Myth of the Lighthouse Nation Shattered. Hearing Jiang Yi say this, everyone's mouths twitched. throughout the entire history of warfare worldwide. What just unfolded was nothing short of a historic moment. Wouldn't it go down as one of history's most iconic moments? And you call this a minor incident? Before the crowd could recover from their shock, the nuclear leveling squad slowly came into view. At first, no one paid them any mind. But the more they looked, the more off it seemed. This thing looks so familiar? Immediately, a flurry of question marks flooded the public chat. Is this a mushroom bomb? Did I see that wrong? Am I seeing things? The audience snapped out of it. Their minds felt like they'd been hit by some intense shockwave, unable to believe their eyes. Nuclear bomb. The Kingdom of Yaman actually has this kind of thing? Ahem. Jiang Yi cleared his throat and introduced it before the crowd. This is our domestically developed model. It employs a land mobile launch system with a range of approximately 18,000 kilometers. The yield per deployment can be freely adjusted between 50,000 and 800,000 tons. That was just a brief overview. Anything beyond that is classified. At that moment, everyone around the world who witnessed this scene felt incredibly conflicted. They seemed to grasp something profound. No wonder even the Lighthouse Nation agreed to the establishment of Yemen. Turns out, they've got the truth on their side. It wasn't just the bystanders who were shaken. The reaction from world leaders could only be described as earth-shattering. The Eagle Nation, the Beacon Nation, the Baguette Nation, the Black Chicken Nation, the White Elephant Nation, the Furry Bear Nation, and even the Dragon Nation fell into silence after hearing Jiang Yi's presentation. Fell into silence. Not ordinary silence. It was the kind of silence that comes when emotions run so high they momentarily freeze the mind. The land of the Beacon had received advance notice. They had only seen a photograph at the time. As for whether the Yamen truly existed, uncertain. But now it was confirmed. It exists. Over in the Dragon Nation. Emergency meeting. Since Jiang Yi had kept this information confidential until now, the Dragon Nation was completely unaware. This is no small matter. Once possessed, this thing would pose a major threat to the entire world. Compounded by the fact that little is known about the Yamen Kingdom. Future developments were now an unknown quantity. The Yamen Kingdom could very well become a ticking time bomb. The nuclear leveling squad passed by. Journalists worldwide snapped photos frantically. They practically pressed their shutters to dust. Even some high-ranking officials couldn't resist pulling out their phones to snap away at the scene. After all, the universal equalizer. Not many nations in the world possess such a device. The grand finale marched across the entire field. The military parade officially concluded. The nation was founded. The Kingdom of Yamen was born, stepping onto the stage of history in the world's chessboard from this day forward. On-site staff set off fireworks in celebration. Jiang Yi stretched lazily, feeling a bit tired. He prepared to take a break. However, at this moment, high-ranking officials from various nations approached to offer congratulations surrounding Jiang Yi. Your Majesty, the people of Deba sincerely congratulate you on the founding of the Kingdom of Yemen. Your emergence will surely lead the nations of East Continent toward prosperity and strength. Your Majesty, I am the King of Posey. I hope we can strengthen our cooperation and mutual exchange in the future, achieving mutual benefit and shared development. By the way, should you ever need anything internationally, please don't hesitate to ask. We will certainly assist. I am the President of Nanue. Your Majesty, I have prepared a congratulatory gift for the founding of the Kingdom of Yemen. Please do not feel obliged to refuse. I insist you accept it. Our nation primarily exports natural gas. Should the Kingdom of Yemen require any, please let us know. We'll provide it at the lowest possible price. The founding of the Kingdom of Yemen must surely be the will of heaven. Glancing at the sycophantic expressions around him, Jiang Yi was momentarily speechless. He knew. These are the top-tier figures whose every move sends shockwaves through the world. If I hadn't known better. He thought they were just a bunch of old men from who knows where. Jiang Yi raised his hand to signal for calm. Then he replied in unison, everyone, I appreciate your kind intentions. I've prepared a lavish banquet for all of you tonight in the hall next door. Please do me the honor of taking your seats now. To all the tourists here to watch, I'm thrilled you joined us for Yemen's founding celebration. To mark the occasion, tonight's late-night snack is on me. Holy crap. What a generous gesture. King Yi is the man. Awesome. Everyone present was thoroughly impressed. I wish I could go too, woo. So extravagant. There must be tens of thousands of people there, right? This totally made everyone watching the livestream but not there green with envy. Jiang Yi did this with a purpose. To win people over. To establish his persona in the eyes of the world. Compared to that, a kingdom spending tens of millions to treat a group to a meal is nothing. The buzz generated by the spectacle, the subsequent surge in traffic. It would only bring more revenue to the Yamen Kingdom. Dragon Kingdom. The meeting concluded. They had no choice but to acknowledge that the Yamen Kingdom possessed nuclear weapons. There's no way around it. They were unaware at first. Now, the interests of both sides are too deeply intertwined. There are national relations to consider, not to mention the various transnational industrial collaborations recently launched between the two sides. There was no alternative but to acquiesce. We can't just turn our backs on them. Besides, even if we did turn our backs, the nuclear weapons of the Yamen Kingdom wouldn't just vanish into thin air. They remain where they were. The good news is that at least the Dragon Nation and the Yamen Kingdom are partners, allies. The one who should be worried now is the Lighthouse Nation. Who else but the Lighthouse Nation would back Yisali's attempt to cause trouble at the founding ceremony? The whole world knows the F-35 fighter jet comes from the lighthouse nation. Events unfolded exactly as Longhua had anticipated. Obama and other high-ranking officials are nearly driven to despair. First, the F-35 got thoroughly outclassed. This proves the Kingdom of Yemen's fighter technology far surpasses theirs. As previously emphasized, air superiority is crucial in warfare. They feared the myth of the lighthouse nation's invincibility. That myth would be shattered, piece by piece, by the Kingdom of Yemen. Then came the nuclear bomb's official debut. This alone. If they ever wanted to suppress the development of the Kingdom of Yemen or seize an opportunity to act, they'll have to seriously weigh their options. What does a 1,800-kilometer launch range mean? It could cover nearly the entire mainland of the lighthouse nation. Given Jiang Yi's temperament, if he dares to shoot down an Italian fighter jet during the founding ceremony, who's to say he won't get so pissed that day he'll drop a couple nuke bombs on your place and take you down with him? Jiang Yi was currently unaware of the incidents surrounding the founding ceremony. Jiang Yi remains unaware of the events that have the entire lighthouse nation on edge. After the founding ceremony concluded, Jiang Yi sought out the representatives sent by the Dragon Nation to attend the ceremony. Zhao Shang. Another top-tier figure, wielding real power and holding an extremely high position. Congratulations, congratulations. Zhao Shang offered his congratulations while walking with Jiang Yi toward the office. What brings you here? Jiang Yi glanced at him indifferently. There's something I think you'll find quite interesting. It concerns the peaceful development of the entire East Continent. Oh? At these words, Zhao Shang's eyes lit up. Chapter 79, Tripartite Peace Talks. All these years, East Continent has always been a crucial strategic location for the world. This is because it possesses abundant natural resources of all kinds. Wars are erupting almost everywhere in the world. Why does the Eastern Continent war draw such extraordinary attention? The reason is simple. This region holds immense strategic importance for any nation, especially those with the power to make moves on the global chessboard. And as is widely known, over 2 centuries of strategic planning, the Lighthouse Nation has invested immense effort in East Continent. Their investments have certainly yielded returns. Leveraging East Continent, they established a global hegemony centered on the US dollar. They have reaped countless benefits from this arrangement. Should anyone succeed in disrupting this status quo, it would deal a severe blow to the Lighthouse Nation and enable a break from the dollar hegemony system. This inevitably means the East that the Lighthouse Nation desires to see is fundamentally different from the East that the Dragon Nation envisions. The Lighthouse Nation desires a chaotic East Continent. Only through Eastern Continent's chaos can they exploit the situation to advance their interests. The Dragon Nation seeks to break this pattern by stabilizing East Asia and freeing it from the Lighthouse Nation's control, to shatter their schemes. Yet for years, the Dragon Nation has poured endless effort into achieving this. Constant mediation has yielded no results. Ethnic groups continue to clash, major religions remain at odds, and grievances erupt. The Lighthouse Nation persistently stirs the pot behind the scenes, achieving stability in the Eastern Continent. This path will require at least another decade of effort. This is precisely why Zhao Shang felt intrigued when he heard Jiang Yi had a plan to bring peace to the Eastern Continent. Jiang Yi didn't elaborate. Instead, he briskly led Zhao Shang into his private conference room. Let's sit down and talk. Jiang Yi gestured with his hand. After taking his seat, Zhao Shang couldn't wait to ask, so, what's your plan? Jiang Yi replied calmly, the current situation in Dongzhou involves 3 major factions, Yisili, the Anlabo Nation, and the resistance organization against the United States represented by Yilong the Resistance Arc. I assume you're familiar with these? Of course. Zhao Chang nodded firmly. He had been one of the key figures quietly steering East Continent toward stability these past years. It could be said he understood the East Continent's situation as well as anyone. But what did that prove? Zhao Shang looked at Jiang Yi with confusion. Now, aside from the leaders of Yisili and Shashi, everyone is here with me. It's as if both sides have gathered together. Why not seize this opportunity to foster relations between these 2 factions and end the war and hostility in Dongzhou? Sash is here too? Zhao Shang knew only this. Shatai had fought against the Yamen kingdom, and it seemed they hadn't attended this founding ceremony. I have already invited them to attend. Jiang Yi crossed his legs, adjusting his posture. Just before the founding ceremony began, I sent them an invitation in my personal capacity, and they accepted. Though Shade had been soundly beaten by Jiang Yi several times, they now understood the current situation. The former Yamen government forces are gone forever. Jiang Yi now represented the legitimate authority of Yamen. And no one understood the strength Yamen kingdom now displayed better than they did. They knew that continuing the conflict would only harm their interests. Thus, they also sought to use this opportunity of attending the founding ceremony to negotiate peace with Jiang Yi. When other nations threaten war, it might be bluff. But Jiang Yi is different. Jiang Yi's temperament means he truly dares to fight. Why wait to be beaten and humiliated again if reconciliation is possible? They weren't masochists. Zhao Kong swallowed hard, stunned that Jiang Yi had already orchestrated events to this point. But Zhao Kang's tone was resigned. We've tried countless times, it's impossible. You mean getting Yi Lang and Shashi to reconcile? We've attempted that repeatedly. These 2 families are sworn enemies, their grudges aren't so easily resolved. He'd thought Jiang Yi had some clever strategy up his sleeve. Instead, it was the same tired approach they'd exhausted. Disappointment settled in his heart. No, I don't think so. Previous mediation failed because the approach was wrong. Trying again might still be worth it, don't you think? Alright. At least it's an opportunity. Success would be a win-win for everyone, failure would just mean starting over. Opportunities to bring together the leaders of Eli